Let's talk all about AI in business. It's hosted by Brent Muller. Welcome to the Future Proof Podcast.
Hi, and welcome to the latest episode of the Future Proof Podcast. I'm your host, Brent Muller, and I'm joined today with Neeraj Singh from BigBinary. Neeraj, it's great to have you.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
So, Neeraj, let's start off with just talking about your background. Tell us about your journey, right, into starting BigBinary and then starting Neeto, right? So, Neeraj has two companies, and we'll get into both.
Yeah. So BigBinary, I started because before that, I was working at a company in Washington, D.C., waiting for my green card to come. And in the meantime, I came across a blog post by the founder of Ruby on Rails framework that, hey, there is a new thing. So I checked it out. I really liked it. At that time, I was working on Java full time, but I started dabbling in Ruby on Rails, and it really piqued my interest. So I started spending more and more time over the nights and the weekends on Ruby on Rails. And since I had some knowledge, I started contributing to Ruby on Rails. Now I have even more knowledge. So I went to local meetup, and I was going to the meetups anyway. I started filling in the lightning talks, and then people said, well, you have this knowledge. Why don't you make a full presentation? So I made the full presentation. In the meantime, I got my green card, but now I am looking for a Ruby on Rails job.
Right.
Ruby on Rails is an emerging technology in DC. There are very few companies doing Ruby on Rails. So I found one company which was doing Ruby on Rails, but they had a very tiny amount of funding. So I had to take a pay cut in order to take up that job. And my wife jokes that I could be one of the very first company in the history of humanity who, after getting the green card, whose salary actually went down rather than going up. Because I was chasing very few people were doing Ruby on Rails, but I really liked it. And I worked in that company and other companies for a while, but after a while, because of my knowledge, I thought that, let's try to be a freelancer. So that was the goal. The goal was never to start a company. It's an anomaly. But today we have 100 plus people after 13 years. And so we are doing good. But that's my background as far as the BigBinary is concerned.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. So tell us about, before we get into Neeto, right? Let's talk about BigBinary. So there's your history of that. And then, so talk about the growth, right? So you started out as, basically right? Probably hired a few people, and now you're over 100 people, right? At BigBinary. So talk about that evolution.
Yeah. So one of the important things was that for me was when we were building the team, what kind of people to hire. So just to give you an example, if I take obviously I was contributing to open source, and technologically I like other stuff. If I hire the first person who is very junior, then the company trajectory will be this way. Obviously, in the short term, that will maximize the profit for me because my client is happy. They want one more person or two more person, but I wanted to have good team, like a solid team, smart people to work with. So I hired in the beginning first 10, 15 people. They all came from open source background. And I see open source as a proxy for how much you love this particular stack or technology, because otherwise, why would you be working on your own without getting paid to contribute to the code? So
it's a really good mindset if you think about it. Absolutely.
Exactly. I mean, that for me, it was a very good proxy without me interviewing the people and asking the people. Usually those people are good. And those people already, they speak at the conferences and things like that because we are doing open source contribution. Why not? So that's how I had initially good. So initially, all those people were quite talented. That set the trajectory for BigBinary. And still today, we have a higher quality standard and in the Ruby on Rails community, and we have been able to do a good job. We started, and the growth was very linear. There was no big jump, initially 1 to 5 to 10 to 15, 20, 25, 30. So it was not like a huge jump because when you hire a bunch of people at the same time, it's very hard to maintain the quality, the culture, and things like that, etc. Another thing was that since I am in USA, and the first 10 people I hired in India, the company by default was a remote company, and BigBinary for the last 13 years is 100% remote. And
wow.
So this is talking about the 100% remote. Before I call that we have been remote since 3G era, and which is true. Before we had just WhatsApp had come at that time or something like that. before we had Slack and Zoom and things like that, etc. At that time, we were using a Skype and things like that. Yeah, but one of the core tenet of the company and the reason why we were able to pull off the remote was because of my open source contribution. I saw that in the open source world, there are no meetings, but the work is getting done.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
here I was, before I got my green card, I was working at Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, these big institutions where tons and tons of meetings are happening and work is not happening that much given how many meetings we are having. So we structured our BigBinary around the principles of open source. Of course, we are working for our client, so the code is not open source, but other than the code not being open source, all the ethos were of open source. Meaning more discussions, asynchronous discussion, more discussions over email, mailing list. At that time, there was no GitHub. So, and one other good thing which I still till date I feel like is true is that the fact that you can write well in the process of writing, that brings a lot of clarity to you and to the question that you're going to ask. Many times it happens that's why I'm a little bit not anti-chat person, but I'm not, like I said, that because chat, the expectation is that I'm typing something and the other person is waiting. Right. You are not able to think. When I'm writing an email, a lot of people hate emails and things like that. I love it. Love it because there is no expectation that I need to be really fast. Yes. So in the process of writing, I write first sentence, second sentence, and half the time I get, oh, I got it. Okay, I don't need to write it. Or I need to change the thing. I came to write message X, but the message I'm sending is Y. But for that, you need to give yourself the time. The quality work happens not because you're really fast. It's also because you're thoughtful about things.
I totally agree with you. And I think it's so funny you say that, because one of the things, as we get into later when we talk about ChatGPT a little bit, is a lot of founders that I've been talking to lately, that's one of the things they do with their emails is say, look, I tend to write in my thought and what I'm thinking in my head, but I don't know if that's the way it needs to come across. So they'll put their email in and write thoughtfulness like you're talking about. They'll put it into ChatGPT and say, hey, this is the message I'm trying to convey. How will the other person receive this? Am I communicating what I really want to get across? And it'll rewrite some of that, and they do that, right? And so you do that naturally. Like what you're talking about is doing it naturally. It's being thoughtful about your response. So async communications, to me, if we get it right, can be very impactful.
Correct, exactly. And for that, the tools do matter, because in a chat tool, the expectation is that you need to be fast, less thoughtful, but fast, because I'm conversing. In the case of GitHub, etc., well, you are not going to write one-line sentence, two-line sentence. You are going to write the thing, whatever your message is.
Right.
So, so because I worked in open source and there was no meetings, there was no chat tool, etc. So we got in the very early the habit of writing detailed, long way, thoughtful messages, which is serving us well. And that's very much needed in a remote environment.
Yeah.
More so than in-person environment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think if you get it right, what you're talking about, you get the best talent, because now you're not geographically limited because you're remote, and you get the collaboration and pretty much the speed is of you build that culture of not needing to drop what you're doing to respond to a chat, right? So I get what you're talking about. That culture and that mindset is important, because I watch some of my clients, they get lost in Teams every day in these chats. And I'm like, is this really the most productive thing? Like you're saying, if you take a step back and you're like, all right, what are we trying to accomplish, right? We're losing that. Yeah. And I don't think that these help, right?
Exactly. You're distracted. And in fact, one of the things that people who knew Johnny, who joined BigBinary, they find it interesting is that I do use Slack, but not unlike other people, we don't use Slack as a mechanism where long conversations are happening. Slack to me is the things to point to that long conversations need to happen in our either a project management tool, GitHub and other things. A small chit chat here and there, things can happen. But in the Slack, whether you're in Slack or somewhere else, you need to write grammatically full English sentences. You cannot write PLZ. You cannot put I in lowercase. So what happens is that people join and we give them warning that, well, you're not writing properly. And when they chat using WhatsApp with their friends, their habits have changed.
Yeah.
And then those guys are saying, why are you typing so officially? I mean, because here I don't allow you to write you. and this, and like instead of full bio. And there they started using bio. They're saying, what happened to you?
Yeah.
He said, well, I joined BigBinary. So there is no, the sentences need to end with a period and all that. And those kind of shortcuts other companies take, I don't like it. I said that, well, because in a high knowledge environment, you write once and 10 people are reading. So it's extremely important that you write thoughtful, slow, deliberate in a proper way.
Right.
Taking
Versus
shortcuts.
when you're on WhatsApp and you're talking to your friends.
Exactly. It's a one-on-one. Exactly. So one-on-one, it's fine. It could be, but you cannot have dual personality. And I said that as you spend more time in the company, 2 years, 3 years, now what's happening? You are communicating with your clients, with our vendors, with your junior team members, with senior team members. So you need to learn how to write properly, how to convey more than writing, conveying your ideas properly.
Yeah.
And that part, they're shortening the time by typing you is not going to speed up the process. What you need to be careful more about is you expressing your thoughts clearly or not. So take extra 5 minutes. It's fine.
Right.
But write more and don't try to be
I like that.
over-indexing on being short.
Yeah. This is good. The remote team communication is huge. It's huge.
True. Exactly.
Real quick, let's talk about. So, I mean, before we jump into Neeto, because I want to hear about that as well. But with BigBinary, right? Are your clients across the industries? Who's your kind of ideal clients that you work?
Yeah, so we work with some of the there are 2 Fortune 100 clients, but most of our clients are startups. That's what we are. A few small, medium level companies. But we are bound by technology. We work Ruby on Rails and Ruby on Rails only. That's it. We don't do Java. We don't do Python. We are not a typical consulting company where we can take, even though I worked in Java myself for 12 years, we have never taken a Java project. So we are bound by technology. As long as it's a Ruby on Rails project, we will work on it across industry. 70% of our revenue is from North America, and the rest is from Europe, Australia, and
that's fantastic. Yeah, that's fantastic.
And in 2018, 19, and 20, we were in the Inc. 5000 fastest growing companies. After that, I stopped applying, meaning that I didn't apply after that.
Yeah, I get it. It's a neat thing to say once or twice, right?
But exactly. After that,
it's not something you want to chase. I totally get where you're coming from. And so that's BigBinary.
Yes.
And then a few years ago, right, you decided to start a product company. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So what happened is that in the early stages of pandemic, what happened is that since we are a consulting company, there was a lot of panic in the market. People didn't know what to do. So there was the contractors or consultants are the first one to go. So they immediately terminated the contract. So now we have a bunch of engineers who are sitting, and there's no point doing the layoff and things like that because that is not going to help anyone. Right. So we took a 30% pay cut across the board so that everybody gets paid. And now what do? We have a bunch of engineers. And by that time, it had been 10 years we had been working at BigBinary, building things for the clients. And we noticed that there are a few products which are constantly keep appearing, but it was the cost that was bugging me. For example, just take the example of Calendly. I love Calendly. I use Calendly a lot. But the thing is that if you want to have multiple scheduling links, one with 30 minutes, one with 60 minutes, you're accepting payments extra, you need to go to $20. Or $18 plan. And I felt like, okay, to me, is the Calendly is a middleman. You take this entry and put it in my calendar. It's a valuable service and you should be charging for it, but the price seemed a little bit, a bit high. So I thought that maybe we can run for it. And when I looked at the market, scheduling software market, there were 30 players in the market. In fact, all 30 are listed on our website when we did the product hunt launch. So we are 31st player. So what is the differentiating factor? And if you look at Neeto, all Neeto products have only one differentiating factor. We are competing on price. Literally, we are competing on price, nothing else. All rules book, business books say that don't compete on price. It's a race to the bottom and things like that. And I say, my views are a bit different. I feel like, how could you be wrong when competing with price? Because I thought the whole hallmark of capitalism is that you compete on price. I mean, what is capitalism? You build something and competitors come and they compete with you either on value or on price, but how many value added things can you keep doing?
Right.
And
it's hard to argue when you talk about something as simple as a calendar app, right? To compete on value. because it's just one piece of a bigger
Exactly,
piece, right?
exactly. So that's why I intentionally chose that something which is, I won't say that it's not providing value, otherwise I would not be building, but the value proposition is limited. It's like it's not, and as long as I can provide it and stickiness is there, but at the same time, people can switch over also. So that's what we started building with the Calendly alternative Neeto Cal. And and today still we are working. We are like on an average in a monthly, after almost like 3 years since we started building it, we have 10,000 bookings a month for Calendly, which is not for Neeto Cal, which is not a lot if you compare to Calendly, but well, it's a start.
Yeah.
And so that's when we started working with Neeto Cal. Then I was using Loom a lot. And because of asynchronous communications, wherever you can type, wherever you can make the video, that was fast. Same thing. And I wanted to give Loom to more of my team members, but at that time, $10 yearly, $15 monthly, with 100 people, it will come out to be a lot of money.
AI and they went to 24, right?
24, exactly.
And I'm like, come on, like.
Exactly.
Everyone wants to add the AI feature and then up their price. And I'm like,
exactly.
You can't pay for all of this, right?
Exactly. See, exactly. Thank you. So that's exactly what I had. I said, how hard can it be? And can we build just the core features of Loom? That's exactly what we did with Neeto Record. So now Neeto Record is our tool, which is there. And we are, providing like 200 videos a month free and things like that. So once again, we are competing on price. Feature-wise, I am trying to build like the half the feature. So what I say is that build half the product, not half-ass product.
Right.
Whatever the half feature that you have built, nobody needs. My favorite example is that my friend who works in the Microsoft Word team. I said, I don't know, guys. I mean, he has been working there for 21 years. I don't know what you go and do every day. In the Microsoft Word or Google Word, I know 7 things, and those are the 7 things I've been using for the last 15 years.
Right. Google Docs, I switched from Word a long time ago to Google Docs because it has the core functionality I need. I don't need all the bells and whistles that Word has. Right. And then Word makes it even more, for a long time, they made it more difficult because it had to be a desktop app. They finally went into the browser and then it goes back and forth. And I'm like, it's all in one place. It needs to be.
Exactly. But the main thing is that the 90% of the people need the base 30% features.
Yes.
That is the premise of Neeto, that we will build half the product, but my price will be 1/10 of your price. More or less, we are trying to do that. And once the features are built, what happens is that we move to another product. We do not keep building the same product for 10 years.
Let me ask you a question about that, right? So do you sell in the Neeto suite? Do you sell it as a suite? Or is it
not today, but that's the goal. In a couple of years, we should have enough products.
Yeah, let me tell you, Neeraj, what we're seeing in the industry, and maybe this will help in your overall strategy, right? So because everybody's building single tools, Calendly is a great example, right? This is not a Calendly bash at all, but what you just said with Calendly, and then they add AI and they up the price, and then you do Loom, and then Loom adds the AI and it ups the price. And now your tech stack for little things becomes overwhelming in your P&L, right? So what we're seeing in the industry, and we use a platform called Go High Level, right?
Yes, I'm aware of it. Yes.
But what Sean Clark did there is being replicated in the market along place. What he's just said is, hey, here are like 12 to 15 tools that I'm going to give you for one flat price under one roof, right? And they continue to develop. ClickUp did something very similar, right? And they continually rolled that out. I'm watching what Apollo.io is doing, and they're doing the same. They're all following the pattern. How do I add more value under my subscription, right? True. And so as you think about Neeto, your value add is to put it into a suite, because I think you could garner people from all of those things where they say, I'm using Loom, I'll come over here. Oh, I'll cancel Calendly and I'll come in here. And the reason is because those are just small pieces of a bigger picture in your tech stack now. No one wants to, like, we were fine paying $5 and $10 and $8 for these little things. Now when those go from 8 to 24 per person and you have 100 people on the team, everything becomes a bigger thing. So it's consolidation and all in ones. And again, you don't have to be the best at all of it. You just have to have the core functionality. And if you think about what you do with your G Suite subscription with docs, slides, sheets, that alone, right?
Yeah.
You're happy to do, right?
True,
As
exactly.
part of your G Suite, but it's all included in your G Suite, right? So you're not paying this extra licensing fee out there.
Exactly.
So the reason I bring all that up is that's what we are seeing, because you're not the first product owner that we've had that is thinking about what's my future strategy. So I'm just giving you some food for thought in yours.
No, I appreciate that. Thanks for that. And that's exactly what you said is strongly resonates with me. That what ClickUp is doing, Go High Level is doing, they're doing the right thing, meaning that they're providing the value. And in fact, I am saying that the Neeto is not going to the world's best software or anything. I am just trying to be good enough software. Why? I'm competing on price.
Yeah.
There are certain features we defer or not build if it increases the price. I'm competing on price. So price is more or less $5 per user per month for, say, Neeto Cal and things like that. If you want to remove the branding, otherwise all the features are free for you. Every single feature is because you are displaying made with Neeto Cal, that logo. So you are doing the marketing for us.
Yeah, you're paying. They're paying for your marketing. The
Exactly, they're paying. So and literally within our code, there is no if else and this and that. The documentation. This is a pro plan, that plan. There is only one thing. Everything, because as we keep building every week, you get for free as long as you are displaying made with Neeto Cal.
I love it. That's fantastic. And so what is your vision for Neeto? Is it I mean, are you going to continue to grow this as a product company?
Of course. Right now, there are a bunch of things need to be built. For example, the end goal is that our own company, Neeto, or BigBinary should be able to run on Neeto product. So one of the key components, 5 things are missing. One is that email, because without mail, you cannot run the company. You need a calendar, and then the 3 things that you touched upon, Google Doc, Excel, PowerPoint, and things like that. Maybe like a Google Drive and things like that. What we have right now is Calendly alternative, Loom alternative, Neeto Form, Neeto Site, which is Squarespace type, like lightweight websites and things like that. We have our own Neeto Deploy, which is Heroku alternative, where you can deploy the application so that that helps us keep our cost low and things like that.
Yeah. Be careful when you, and the only reason I say this is when you start to think about having to build a G Suite, like most people aren't going to come off of that, right? But if you integrate very easily with all the rest of the stuff, to me, that's a no-brainer. Right? There's no friction. Like I'm never going to get off my G Suite and Google Drive stuff because it's so easy to use. I'm never replacing it, right? I have no desire to do that. Everything else in your suite, and I'd be a typical user. I'd replace everything with Neeto, right?
Got it.
Because now I have 2 tools that I have to worry about. G Suite, which is core to my business, and now everything Neeto. You're saving me a ton of money by eliminating all that other stuff. And I could run my whole company with the foundational stuff on those 2 things. So that's just food for thought on that.
No, that's good. So maybe I didn't explain properly. What happens is that a lot of people, see, I'm from India, all my engineers in India, people try out building new things. And initially they start with a Gmail account. It works. Now they want to be more professional. Now they need to pay whatever the price is equivalent in India, $6, $7. It comes out to be a bit expensive. So it's not meant for the people who can afford and pay. It's just that it will give you a branded email, your custom email with something like that.
You give them 2 options. We use our internal one, right? Our internal stuff that we build, or just integrate with your G Suite.
Exactly.
And add everything
Go
else,
with the G Suite, exactly. And I see that in the coming years, at least I'm hoping that in India, there will be more and more people are doing the startup, more and more people are coming. But the jump from Gmail to G Suite is slightly higher. It's a bit expensive.
Yeah, I totally get that. And the neat thing is, with that product platform, if you could layer over time AI throughout that whole thing.
Yeah.
Like as we were just talking about, like Loom went from $10, if you do it annually, $15 a month to $24 a month just for adding the AI feature. There's no way you're getting $9 a month for that one feature. Like it's just like, to me, like you could just do a manual step, right? Put it in ChatGPT and get the same thing back. And again, it's not to bash anybody. It's just you need, when you can do it throughout a suite, it's so much more impactful because you get so much more out. Because think about it. If I send a client a Loom video, right? I send them an email. I have a proposal document, and if my AI can go across all that rather than in siloed tools like it is now, the impact is so much. Like, I'm willing to pay for that, but I don't want to pay for it in little slices where I can't cross-pollinate that stuff unless they're all integrated. And that's the value you're going to bring immediately.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so I love what you're doing with Neeto. I think it's fantastic. I love, again, I have another company that we build a UI on React, but I wish we were doing Ruby on Rails because I'd be talking to you about that right now. But talk to me about what you see now, the impact of what you see in the industry that in the industries you're working on, and how AI automations, how that's going to impact it as you look down the next year or two.
I am one of those guys who is a little bit sour on AI things, not that bullish than other people. I don't know why. I have a feel like
I'm going to help change your mind on that, but okay.
Yeah. I feel like the AI is useful, but I feel like there is a little bit of hypocrisy from the technology side on the AI. They're saying that the AI will help you build the software faster. If that is what's happening, then that means Loom and Calendly and all these people should be building their tool faster. And just yesterday and today, I got the email from Google that the G Suite price they're increasing. I haven't clicked on the link to see how much they're increasing, but they sent me the message that they are increasing the price. So as you rightly mentioned, Loom is using AI to build Loom. I'm hoping that. And they are making this AI available to us. But per user, they're charging $9. So if you are being productive, then you should be doing what Jeff Bezos did in the earliest stage of AWS. There was no competition, and still he kept reducing the price.
Yes, and you know what? That is what the people that get smart and hear exactly what you just said, and they know that, and they watched Amazon, right, and Bezos, what they did. That's where these companies that are raising their prices and taking advantage of are short-lived, because there's no way that there's people that you're going to use AI to replicate those tools right faster, and they're going to take those customers.
Exactly.
And those customers are going to be happy to leave because they feel like they're getting gouged right now.
Exactly, 100%. Yeah. So but besides that, the thing is, it's so universal that new AI-based technologies and the companies are coming to compete with them. Which is great because they need competition. Otherwise, people who themselves are building their software using the AI, cost is a little bit, I don't know why they are increasing the cost. They should be reducing the cost. But anyway, that's good for me because I'm competing on price. Yeah. So that works out. But other than that, I feel like I personally don't use AI as much as probably I should be using it, because I'm spending most of my time on the product design and talking to people and talking to customers, trying to understand. Still, all the Neeto products are still in the early stages, which means that I'm spending more time talking to the customers, trying to find out what is the right fit.
Right. I don't want the product market fit and all
exactly.
That. Yeah,
because I don't want this just to look at the Calendly and build a clone of it. No, I want to talk to people, because why would you want to switch from Calendly? Hey, I need this thing in Calendly, and Calendly is either not able to provide or it's in their feature list and things like that. So yeah, so personally, I'm using less of the AI, but that's just me.
Yeah. Well, and as you use our podcast as a resource, and you're going to see, we're very much a glass half full. It's an opportunity that needs to be tapped. So companies like yours, we're hoping will embrace it over time and use it to your advantage to make better product, to make it better for the user. And the coolest thing that you're doing, Neeraj, is you're talking to the customers first, because we should always be working backwards from the customer, right? What would make their life better? Then you build something for them. That's how product market fit works, right?
Sure.
And so, yeah, I love that. So, all right. So now I do have to ask you, so I was going to ask you, coming in, what is something you have tried with AI or played with AI that somebody else might find interesting?
I don't think so. That I don't have any answer which others will find interesting, because I am not using AI. In fact, I don't use ChatGPT that much, because one of the things that I say is that ChatGPT is, I over-index on the idea of thought, that you need to think and you need to continue to think, because we are not, I give the example, we are not in the digging a ditch business, we are in the knowledge economy. Yeah. And yes, I don't care about whether my grammar is a little bit off and that, but I want my voice to come as my voice. And what I say is that when you give it to ChatGPT and ChatGPT writes for you in a better way, it's better. But now the thing is that the voice of my father and the voice of my uncle and the voice of the grocery guy and the guy who delivers is pretty much homogeneous.
Yeah.
Do you want to be homogeneous? Maybe it's good for you. Maybe you don't.
Yeah.
You are not over-indexing as much as I over-index. But I am a guy of words. I care about, like, this is the reason why I am never big on SEO at all. In fact, I'm very dissing on SEO because I cannot say on one side that I'm very thoughtful about what I write. On the other side, you write SEO, and primarily you write SEO not to please humans, but to please a machine.
Yeah, it police the algorithms, right, in the bots. I
Exactly.
Totally get it.
So I
totally
cannot
get it.
have both the face. So that's why I don't even use ChatGPT. I know that ChatGPT will help me write better, but I don't care about because
Let me challenge you on one thing, because I totally agree with what you're saying, and I don't think you ever want your voice to change or to be replicated. It's not. I think one of the things that, and so I'll challenge you for the next month or two to start using ChatGPT, and it has to be 4 or one of the O versions, right, or even DeepSeek. Go start talking to it as, think of it like your chief of staff, and you start bouncing ideas off of it and engage with it on idea sharing back and forth. So not as a replacement for Neeraj, because I always think that and the way we call them on our podcast, they're digital coworkers. They're not replacements for anybody. They are to sit next to you and help you, right? And think of it like if you had a chief of staff or you had an assistant that is hearing a lot of your meetings, and just go back and forth with it, because that's the breakthrough that CEOs and founders that I've been talking to were not tapping into, and now they get really excited about it because it's an idea sharing back and forth. Did you think about this? Some of the coolest things, the ideas. I have a very good friend, and I just kind of go off on a little tangent for a second, who has been struggling with a health issue, right? That he's been to 3 or 4 of the top places in the country, and they can't figure out what it is. And so he started to upload all of this, everything he's been doing into this, and ChatGPT gave him 2 ideas that no doctor yet has told him to do. Now he has to go back to the doctors and say, can we try this?
Yeah.
And I only tell you that story to tell you that it's supposed to help you engage and unlock things and challenge you to think about things in a different way. So instead of thinking about using it for communications, which I think that's kind of where you were going, scrap that idea. Use it as an idea advisor back and forth to just maybe come up with some avenues, even for your Neeto product ideas. Say, this is my suite, and maybe here's some of the audience I'm going after. Tell me some things that I should be thinking about asking them when I engage with them, and maybe it just gives you ideas. The reason I'm doing this is because I see that we have a lot of people right now on 2 sides of the spectrum with AI, like on the fence about it because they have a notion that it can only do this or only should do this. And then I have a bunch of other people that are embracing it and trusting it too much. And I'm trying to bring that to the middle and say, it's coming. It's going to be involved in everything. How do I get great, smart people like you, Neeraj, to add it into their product suite in the right way because they've thought through it, right, from the end user's perspective, and then what the possibilities are. And I just really believe that if we can get smart founders and CEOs using it and unlocking its powers, because the whole reason you started BigBinary and then Neeto is because you have visionary concepts, right? And then all I want to do is make sure that AI is part of that on the future roadmap, because otherwise someone else is going to come along and use this in the wrong way. I want smart, great people using it in the right way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense. I'll give this a try.
Yeah. And then we're going to have you back in a few months, and then we're going to we're going to ask you how Neeto's going, and then we'll ask you the same question. All right, last question. So tell me how you are growing Neeto and BigBinary. I think you kind of already have, you know what clients are using Ruby. Talk to me about how your growth plan, and if I could give you a magic wand to help you grow Neeto, what would that be for the next 12 months?
Yeah, I don't know what the magic wand I want. One thing which I wrote about in my pricing philosophy is that we are going to not spend a cent on our marketing for Neeto, at least for the next couple of years.
Love it.
because we are competing on the price. And in the pricing philosophy, I saw that this is what typically the way I never built a product. I mean, I'm just
Right.
because I built consulting. So what I see in the other product companies, what they're doing is that they charge their existing customers some money. They take
Okay.
part of that money and give it to Google, and Google gets some new customers. More or less, Google adds some form of marketing.
Right. Right.
The good thing about is that most of the Neeto products are something which is like our website, Neeto record, Neeto Cal, Neeto form, where there's a place for me to put that Neeto branding, and you share it with others.
Yes.
So what I have done is that I've cut the middleman, meaning that I don't need to give it to Google. Why don't our customers, since you share this page with your customers,
affiliate, right?
your customers, and in return, what I'm saying is that whatever money I would have taken from you and given it to Google, I will cut it down by 1/10. So that's exactly what I say when I say that we are competing on price. The whole of 2024, we have not done any marketing person. We don't have nothing, zero marketing. Not even I'm not doing marketing. How we are competing on price, people out of their own goodness. Well, because obviously you found something very useful, you will tell it to other people.
How is your user base growing month on month? Do you have a good?
First 6 months of 2024, we had 80 signups per day. Now we have 120 signups per day.
That's fantastic. Fantastic. And are you using the affiliate model?
No, I'm not. Because my price is so low that affiliates will not get much by this thing. I'm competing on price.
Right. Got it. Okay. So you're letting it go organically and you're getting 130 signups a month. No, or a day. No, it's fantastic. Yeah. No.
Yeah. So right now I have no plans to change anything like that, but that's what I'm learning. So I'm open to change. Yeah. But one thing is very clear that we are competing on price.
Yeah. Yep. Well, hey, look, honestly, this is a good case study. We're going to have to touch base with you, in 6 months and then a year and see how that's going, because you're taking a different approach, but there's no reason it can't work. If you're getting 130 signups a day, it's really, how does that, translate to revenue? So
my goal, what people want is that the goal is, I don't know what my goal is one and one only, that in 2 years from now, 3 years from now, because Calendly is $5 billion company, yeah. Calendly is not going out anywhere. In fact, congratulations to Calendly team, because now they're profitable. So they're good. When people search for Calendly alternative, if without any marketing, Neeto Cal is in the top 5 list, the game is over for me. I've already won the game. Yeah. Because without me doing any marketing or spending a single cent on marketing, we are in the top Calendly alternatives. I'm not even aiming to displace Calendly. I just want number 2 after Calendly. So that's it. Same thing if you look at Typeform.
Typeform, Loom, right?
Typeform, Loom alternative. If I Typeform alternative without doing any marketing, if I'm number 2, I'm good and I can make this business work.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love it. And you know what? Stick to your guns. You have a good philosophy. You have a good strategy, and I'm hoping it comes to fruition. Yeah. All right, Neeraj. So tell me, before it goes live, just tell everybody a little bit about BigBinary and Neeto and how they can engage with both companies.
Yeah. So BigBinary.com, Neeto is not an English dictionary word, so NEETO.com, and you can check out all the products at Neeto.
I love it. And all the links will be below, and we'll get this podcast up and live, and we'll everyone go give Neeto a try. I think we're definitely going to do that. So thank you, Neeraj. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and I hope to have you back soon.
Thanks for having me, and it has been a blast. Yeah, all good questions. Yeah, enjoy it.
Thanks, Neeraj. Hey, till our next episode, everyone. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.
If you're ready to embrace change and lead with innovation, be sure to subscribe and never miss an episode. Thanks for tuning in to the Future Proof Podcast.